I love walking through the city. There's a kind of shabby grandeur to Edinburgh, a sense of history and memory. I tend to choose a direction with no particular destination in mind and just take it all in. Especially since I lost my dad. It helps to get fresh air, focus on something outside of myself, if that makes sense. Anyway, one day, as I took one of my favourite routes through the meadows and past the National Museum, I saw something odd. I saw a bus, one of the ordinary double-decker Lothian buses I see every day, stopping at a traffic light. But this particular bus had no number, no listed destination, no passengers, and, weirdest of all, no driver. I brushed it off, thinking that I must have made a mistake. There had to have been a driver. But I kept seeing the same bus again and again over a period of about 3 months, as empty as the first time I saw it. I kept wondering if there was some kind of explanation, but I couldn't come up with anything that made sense. Eventually, I just gave up and decided to ignore it. I know, not the most exciting of strategies. But soon enough, I wasn't able to ignore the bus anymore. Because, on a bright cold morning in March, it turned up right outside my house. Even though I was in my pyjamas, as soon as I saw it, I ran outside. The doors were open and a woman was standing there. She was wearing an old-fashioned bus conductor uniform and a clunky ticket machine which looked like it had seen better days. I could see through her. Before I could really grasp the implications of that, she called out to me, "What's the matter with you, Flora? Hop on, we don't have all day." I have no idea how she knew my name, but because I didn't really know what else to do, I did what she said. It was like a relic from the 50s, all check pattern seats and adverts for Brill cream. The woman turned to me again and asked me where I wanted to go. I was bewildered, so she asked again, more insistently. I blurted out the first place I could think of. Luna Bay, in Angus. The conductor seemed satisfied, and without warning, the bus began to move. All on its own. As the bus drove off, I looked out the window. It was completely black. No light, nothing. Just total darkness. I could feel the bus moving, but the void outside was still and silent. Less than a minute later, the bus came to a halt and light suddenly flooded back in through the windows. When my eyes adjusted, I saw the beach. Luna Bay, where I'd spent so many summers. And there, right in front of me, running across the sand, was a little girl. She was probably about 6 or 7 years old. Her tangled black hair and sand-stained clothes were familiar. Very familiar. And the man she was running towards was just as familiar. He scooped her up in his arms and spun her round as she cackled with joy. She was me. He was... I hadn't seen his face for months. He looked young and happy. I still can't really explain how I felt at that moment. It was just so much. So much. It took all my effort to stay standing. I don't know how long I watched them. They ran, they laughed, they played, They sat together on the sand looking at the sea. At last, the conductor ushered me back onto the bus. Before I knew it, we were back at my house, and she was gently guiding me back to my front door. By the time I'd stumbled back inside and peeked out the kitchen window, the conductor and the bus were gone. I know I'll never really understand what happened. I don't really want to. But I'm glad I could spend that moment with them. With me and him. I wouldn't give up that moment for anything. And I'm glad I could share it with you.